Hey everybody, it's Harry from Celebrity Daddy BBQ, the YouTube channel that teaches you how to master barbecue so you can spread barbecue love. In our ongoing series testing the beef tallow experiments, courtesy of Jeremy Yoder, who discovered that beef tallow improves the eventual brisket. I spoke to Jeremy and I've been continuing these tests. In this particular test, we're going to be injecting 2 briskets, one with salted beef tallow or beef fat, the second one with salted pork fat. We're going to do it at that special temperature that I showed you in my previous episode of putting it into the brisket at the cow temperature of 101.5. So we'll see which one of these briskets will taste better at the end. So for this episode, I'm going to be using the Dalstrong Valhalla. The nice folks at Dalstrong sent me one of their Viking-inspired knives. I'm going to be putting it through the paces for the first time on these 2 briskets. Let's apply some schmear to let the rub stick. I'm going to use some au jus prep from my co-packer in Cleveland at soupbase.com. I'm going to use some of my beef moolah First Place USA rub. We're just going to put it in the pit, get it to about 110 degrees, and then we're going to inject it at that point when it's at the cow body temperature with salted beef fat and salted pork fat. See which one gives a better result. You guys know in the previous video I revealed the secret of which of the fats resulted in the best flavor. I had used the clarified butter, I had used pork fat, I had used Wagyu beef fat, I had used regular tallow, and I also used pork fat. So go watch that episode to see what was my final conclusion. We're continuing those tests. So in this one, I'm just going to gloss over all of the cooking. You can watch my 50 other videos on how to cook brisket. So this one is just to kind of get everything prepped so we can go to the final result, which is the tasting. If you guys don't want to get your bottles dirty or cross-contamination, you can always put your bottles into a glove like so. That will keep kind of the gunk off your bottles. I'm going to apply a nice even layer until the meat beneath becomes opaque. And then we're going to go back and repeat. First pat down like that. So for those of you who've been using my rub and you were saying what's the proper way to apply, for thick cuts like butt and brisket, you want to apply the product until the meat below is opaque. Once you pat it down, you never rub a rub because rubbing a rub will make it kind of be inconsistent in terms of the application. So you just want to kind of gently pat the rub down like so, and then repeat the application one more time. So use a little bit of muscle memory, do it twice. My rub is not very salty because it has a lot of spices for flavor, so I kind of cut back on the salt. So you have to put a little bit more to get the right level of saltiness. Beautiful color. Let's spray some water. It's been about 2 hours and our briskets are now at 101 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and prepare the salted injection here. I'm going to put some salt into regular lard, and you can get this like a Farmer John's lard. So you want to try to add maybe about a half teaspoon, and then you want to get the saltiness of the lard to about that of ocean water, which is 3.5%. And we're going to accomplish that by a taste test and taste it. Pretty good. Salt the one for the beef tallow, the homemade one. This is lard. This is tallow. You need to warm up your beef tallow. You need to warm up your lard because it's going to coagulate. And you want to season it so that it's a little bit salty before we inject at 101.5, which is the cow body temperature, which I found to be the best temperature for injection. Let's go ahead and inject now. This is the pork, salted pork fat. Now for the moment of truth here, let's look at the one for the salted beef fat injection. You see, looks pretty good here. You can see that, pretty good. Good smoke ring, nice drape. The pull test, perfectly tender. Take a taste. Good. All right, let's try the point muscle. It's a point, the fatty, the moist, also very good looking. Also very good. All right, so let's give now the pork fat one a shot. Nice smoke ring, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful bark, tender, has a nice drape like so. Pull test, perfectly tender. Take a bite. Wow, good. Try the point muscle. All right, looks pretty good too. Point muscle. Drum roll. In the previous video, I shot the episode about using different kinds of injection oils. We did the beef tallow, wagyu, clarified butter, and the lard, which is pork fat. And the winner of that one was the pork fat, believe it or not, because there is truth to the saying that pork fat rules. Now there was n equals 1. Now n equals 2, which is now the same sample. If you don't want to hear the conclusion, I'll just give you the results right now. The pork fat injection works better. Okay, so here's the secret, the throwdown between salted beef fat and salted pork fat. Hands down, the pork fat salted beats the salted beef fat. Okay, so lesson learned is that the pork fat rules. If you guys want to up your brisket game and you don't have any dietary requirements or constraints using pork with your beef, if you want to inject your beef briskets, I highly recommend this technique. You know, now I've proven it twice to myself, so I'm a believer. Pork fat rules. If you inject your beef brisket with pork fat, bacon fat, lard, that's salted, very important, salted. The salted one is a lot better than just plain lard because the saltiness really brings home the flavor of the beef. You get that wonderful Angus brisket flavor when you put salt in it, and the salt has penetrated all the way to the middle. So when you eat it, it really, really tastes good. Like you can see here, it's not only gorgeous, but it tastes absolutely, absolutely amazing. So it's a pass. I'm gonna add this salted beef brisket with pork fat injection to my repertoire of many, many brisket recipes. All right, enough of me talking now. So let's go take Mr. Beans for his judging session. See which one he picks out of the two. All right, I made him 6 samples, 3 from the right and 3 from the left. So the ones on the right, starting with this one here, is going to be the pork, salted pork fat, right? Okay, let's go. All right, Beans, you're gonna have to do a tough job today. You're gonna have to judge whether the brisket injection with salted pork fat or salted beef fat, which one tastes better, all right? So give it a shot. He went for the salted pork fat injected first. And then he went over to the beef, went back to the pork. So kind of a 50-50 for Beans. So in this throwdown, we've shown that pork fat rules. When you use salted pork fat as your injection, it works better than salted brisket fat. In my previous episode, I did the pork fat without the salt, but next time when you do this, try the salt. It works really, really well. Please let me know in the comments below how you like it and whether you tried this recipe and did it work for you. And are you going to add the salted pork fat injection to your brisket repertoire? I'd like to do a thank you to my Patreons for helping me sponsor these kinds of cooks. Until the next video, we will see ya.